Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to yet another live stream. We are doing an open Q&A. This is where I cover all of your questions about Google Workspace, about small business tech, mostly about Google Workspace, and I try and cover them as quickly and efficiently as possible. If you want to submit a question, you can easily do that following the link down below in the description, ask.itgenius.com. And of course, if you're on the stream, please make sure you say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. We've got customers and audience all over the world in many, many countries. And depending on what time of the day or night it is for you, I think the US is just starting to come online. We're coming into our evening now in Europe, where I am right now. And if you're in Australia or Asia, you're probably sound asleep, but you can watch the replay. If you're watching the replay, you can say hello in the comments as well. Well, let's jump into our questions. If you're new here, by the way, we are IT Genius. We help small business owners with their tech, and specifically we work a lot with Google Workspace. And so our new tagline, turn Google Workspace into your Google workhorse. That's what we're all about, helping small business owners get the most out of their investment in Workspace and helping you to navigate how do you work out administration, how do you work out onboarding, how do you work out training, how do you work out your data management, how do you work out your security, how do you work out your permissions. And we have many, many videos on the channel covering all of that. And of course, if you're interested in some extra help, well, you can get help from our team. You can check out, if you want just one thing done, we've got our quick fix service. If you're interested in a project, we call that a tech done. That is getting you and your team one thing implemented, whether it's an audit on your Workspace account or cleaning up your Google Drive. We call that the Google Drive Blueprint. And then of course, Concierge is for those that need help on an ongoing basis. So for small businesses that need support when you're onboarding, offboarding staff, whether you're using some of these other cloud apps, you want support for those. We can take care of your backup, your desktop support, antivirus, making sure that all the security is taken care of in your business. We do all of those things. So without further ado, let's jump into our questions. Remember, you can submit a question at ask.itgenius.com and I will cover them here live. So let's go ahead and open up our first question. What are the main differences between Google Workspace and Microsoft 365? Great question from Samantha. Now, if you'd asked me this question 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have given you a very different answer. I've been working with Google Workspace for over 15 years now, and I've seen the platform and ecosystem develop quite significantly in that time. Now, many, many years ago, when Google started as just basically a business email address plugged into Gmail, once upon a time, they didn't have Google Docs, they didn't have Google Drive, they had Gmail and a calendar, and that was about it. And the cool thing was you could use Gmail with your own email address, your own domain name, but that was about all you could do. Now, Google then bought an online document company and made it Google Docs and eventually launched Google Spreadsheets. And then one day, once upon a time, came Google Slides, which is their PowerPoint ripoff, effectively. And then Dropbox was released and everyone started storing their information on the cloud, and Google realized, that's a good idea. We should copy that. And so Google released Google Drive for desktop, which let you synchronize your files and your folders down to your desktop machine. And then Google Drive on the web let you start uploading files that weren't Google Docs. They were, PDFs and images and videos. And eventually, Google turned this into an ecosystem, which is now a powerhouse for small businesses. And the most interesting thing about Google Workspace is not so much that everyone in the world decided to move from Microsoft over to Google, although there were thousands and thousands of businesses who decided to make that switch. Google for many years were very far ahead of Microsoft and everyone decided to jump over. But it's the new businesses that tend to choose Google more than Microsoft. Now, when I say new businesses that start, I mean micro businesses that are starting from absolutely nothing. And if you think about the typical profile of an entrepreneur these days, they're probably in the age bracket of Gen X or a millennial, and they're probably what we would consider a digital native, meaning that they've started their journey online in the cloud. They grew up with the internet. And so they have a strong desire for all of their tools to work seamlessly across devices, to be online and instantly available and instantly accessible at any time, and for them to have a strong level of consumer feel, I would say, to be as easy to use as something like signing into Facebook or snapping a photo on Snapchat. And then finally, being able to have integrations. We grew up in a world where if I wanted to sign into eBay, I could just click a button and sign in with my Facebook account. And so we want to be able to use our productivity suite for our identity as well. Now, that's what Google Workspace basically gives us. And by us, I mean I'm a millennial business owner as well, right? It gives us the ability to use a business application that feels a little bit like a consumer application. So why do young people choose Google Workspace if they're starting a business? Well, it's because of all of these reasons. When we think, my generation, think of Microsoft, we think of corporate. We think of large business. We think of an IT guy who has to run it. We think of Outlook crashing when it's got too many emails. All those things are the baggage of Microsoft. And even though they're very much feature for feature, very, very rich ecosystems now, they're still quite different when it comes to the appeal for a younger, more tech-savvy business owner. Now, I want to make sure my mic is working and I don't have any comments. Hello, welcome. If you're watching on the stream, please make sure you say hello. So let's talk about the features of the different platforms and where they've come to now. Now, if you asked me 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I would have said to you that Google's beating the pants of Microsoft. They were for many years, at least 3 years ahead on building out live collaboration and online features. And that's always been where Google have really shone. You can work on documents in real time together. Multiple people can be editing a document and see where each other's cursors are. You've got the infinite revision history, which lets you go back to any version of the document at any point in time and see a snapshot of exactly what that document looked like and even restore to that version of the document if you want, meaning that you'll never lose your work if your computer crashes and your internet drops out or something else goes wrong. And we all know how much it hurts to be working on a Microsoft document for an hour or so. The auto save isn't enabled or it crashes and poof, the document's gone. Nobody likes that. So Google really pioneered that, working online, working in real time, and bringing that to the masses with Google Workspace. And bit by bit, Microsoft has caught up, but their online documents are still not really as powerful as the desktop versions, and so most people end up using the desktop versions rather than the online counterparts. The online counterparts do work, but collaborating on them is not quite as smooth as working with a Google document, and people tend to default to using the desktop. Same with Microsoft Outlook. Most features are available in the browser, but not all of the features of Outlook are in the browser. They've done a pretty good job of porting pretty much everything there, but many people still default to using the local desktop. What does that mean? Okay, local desktop app, local desktop problems. It'll crash sometimes. It'll run slowly sometimes. If you're a business owner and you've got 10 years of data, the search is going to run slowly. The local database and cache, we call it, of files is going to hold you back bit by bit. Now, I've got many Microsoft diehards who will say, Pete, you don't understand. It's more powerful. It works great. It saves all of your data on Microsoft Exchange and 365 in the cloud. And so, your local computer is going to run fast. But I can tell you, every time I touch a Microsoft product and I get a little spinning wheel of death of some sort, or the app just crashes, or I go to we don't get blue screens these days, but you know what I mean. There's little bugs that happen on a local desktop app that just don't exist when you are working in a Chrome browser and the app that you're using is a website on the internet, which is how it is with Google Docs, Google Drive, Gmail, Calendar, and everything else. Not to mention the ability for Google to roll out new features faster because they don't have lots and lots of different devices to support when they create their software. They only have to make it work in the browser, and it's much simpler for their development team. Okay, so they're some of the fundamentals, but you might be thinking, well, Pete, what does that mean on a practical basis? How should I choose between these different ecosystems and these different apps? Now, feature for feature, these days, they're pretty much the same. Price for price, these days, they're pretty much the same per user. You're going to get file storage, Google Drive with Google, you're going to get OneDrive with Microsoft. You're going to get the ability to create an online intranet, online storage of your business documentation. In Google, it's Google Sites. Admittedly, not as good as SharePoint for Microsoft. You're going to get email. Feature for feature, pretty much the same. Outlook's got a few more buttons for a few things, but Gmail, Outlook, pretty much the same. Calendar, I would also agree, pretty much the same. I like Google better because it has more integrations and it just seems to run faster than things on Outlook when you're connecting to sharing calendars with your teams and doing other things like trying to organize a meet between multiple people. It's got all kinds of clever scheduling features and I really like that. Chat, pretty much feature for feature. Google has Google Chat, Microsoft has Teams. Now, I have heard that Teams is just a little bit clunky sometimes, is maybe not as easy to use as Google Chat. What I really like about Google Chat is it's integrated with the rest of the Google ecosystem. So someone's got a calendar event saying that they're out of office, Google Chat is automatically going to tell me that. The little things where Google kind of has all its apps talk to each other work really nicely. And I don't quite know if Microsoft's got all of that down as well as Google does. The other thing that Google does really well is because you can easily message between a business account and someone who's on a personal Gmail account, or share files between someone who's on a Google Workspace business account to someone who's using a personal consumer Gmail account. It means that the experience of Google to Google is pretty simple no matter what kind of files or documents you're working with. Working in the Microsoft world is a little bit different, and admittedly I don't use the ecosystem very much myself, but everyone's told me that yeah, Teams is okay, but Slack is much better for chat. And that means that many Microsoft users end up sticking with Slack instead of Teams for their chat. And then you're doubling up on subscriptions, you're doubling up on features, you've got more security to worry about, and you've got to worry about integrating those two potentially as well. I also hear from others that Microsoft's Teams meetings is not always as good as all the features you can get with Zoom. So many people still use Zoom. I've heard that OneDrive is slow and it starts getting buggy when you've got lots of files in there. So many people still use Dropbox or another solution. And you can see where I'm going with this. Most of Microsoft's products give you that full ecosystem with all of the features there. But for many people, they feel like it doesn't quite hit the mark in terms of the end user experience. And so they end up doubling up by purchasing additional software, which is going to cost you extra licenses and just may not work so well with everything else that you've got going. Google, for the most part, when we see it rolled out in a business, is the only app that people use. People use Google Drive for everything. They'll use Google Docs for most things. They'll use Google Chat when they've watched our videos and they know how good Google Chat is. They, of course, use Gmail and Google Calendar, and they don't really need to double up on many subscriptions. It's pretty rare that we see someone still using Slack when they're using Google Workspace once they've been shown how to use Google Chat, how to configure a few chat rooms for your team, and how to set up your integration. So if something happens in an external app, you can have it send an alert or a notification into your Google Chat. Nice little feature there, and we love that. Make sure you check out all the videos on our channel, which let you know how to get started with Google Chat and our best practice recommendations for getting it implemented. So if you're a small business owner and you're deciding, well, which app do I want to use? Feature for feature and price for price, it's probably going to be pretty much the same, unless you find yourself in the situation where in the Microsoft world, you start doubling up on subscriptions because there's things you want to do that you don't like the Microsoft way of doing them. Now, if you're a mid-sized business or a large enterprise and you've got other apps that you need to have interact with the Microsoft ecosystem, well, okay, in that case, and I'm talking about businesses with 50, 100 employees and up, sure, you might want to stick to the Microsoft ecosystem because it integrates better with other kit that you've got running in the business. Or you want to use one of the more advanced features of the Microsoft toolset, like their project management apps or their Dynamics business intelligence and reporting applications. All valid reasons for going with Microsoft. On the Google side of things, it's usually pretty easy for anyone to get started with because these days, everyone's got a Gmail address. Particularly your younger staff are going to find it easier to adopt Google Workspace than they would the Microsoft ecosystem if they're fresh out of university or high school, because they're going to want to work with something that's familiar to them and they're already used to a highly collaborative way of working, and Google Workspace fits perfectly for that. So I'm obviously pretty biased. I've been working with Google Workspace and recommending Google Workspace to business owners for over 15 years now. We love this ecosystem and we think for the most part, for small and micro-sized businesses, it is the best solution for anyone who's considering Microsoft or Google. But hey, if you think I've got the wrong take here, let me know down in the comments. I'll gladly argue with you. All right, now we've got some comments that are coming through live. Thank you so much. All right, cool. Anna just sat down here to learn live. Fantastic, Anna. You can drop any questions. In live to the to our live that we got going here at ask.itgenius.com, and I'll pick up your questions. Oh, and I just hit my comments. Let me go ahead and find my comments again. Where is it? Chat, is that the one? No, that's not the one. Where am I? Bring all to the front. Okay, I've just closed my comments window, so bear with me, guys, while I bring that back. Comments and reactions. There we go. Great. And Richard, thank you. Would you care to go over the steps to begin setting up a federation between Workspace as primary IDP and Microsoft 365 for true single sign-on between the two systems? Richard, I would love to. That is a little bit technical for me. I have done it before, many years ago, when there used to be a directory sync tool, but that's something now our engineering team does, and I don't do that personally anymore. So I would be happy to research and create a video for the channel for that. But my recommendation would be if we can at all help with that or give you some guidance with that, please reach out to our team. You can book in a free consultation. I'll be very happy to help you with that. We serve as Australian and US business hours. Although for hefty integrations, depending on how many users you've got, if it's like 10,000 users and you're in the US, might be a bit harder because our main managed service engineering team are based in Australia. But please reach out anyway, have a chat, see if we can help. I don't have those steps off the top of my head to help you with. Would love to, but I don't have those ones. To cover for you. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and jump into my questions. I'm gonna mark this one as answered. Oh, okay. I think I went back too far. I think I need to go to present. There we go. Okay. And let's mark that complete. And then recent. All right, I'm going to see when the next most recent one is. So if you submit one onto the list now, then I'll give it a crack. Okay. So here's a good one. What's the best way to organize your inbox for productivity? Asked by Anonymous. So I love this question. I have lots of thoughts on inbox productivity. I will show you some of those in my inbox right now, but I also want to tell you a little bit about, the history of where we've come to with this. We have a training guide, which should be on our website. By the time you watch this video, is hopefully up on our website, which covers how to set up your inbox, how to get it down to zero every day, without using third-party tools or plugins, just with some simple practices that anyone can follow to make sure that your email is efficiently managed using all the best tools of Gmail. And I'm going to show you a couple of those features, but my recommendation is to go through the full course available on our website very soon. Our team have been promising it to me for a while. We haven't released it yet, but it will be there soon. But let's talk a little bit about email, where it's at right now and where it's going. Now, for many, many years, people triaged their inbox. And I remember when I first got my very first email address in the late 90s, it was very exciting to receive email. And my friends would send me cat videos. And remember those big, long forward change where it would say forward with all the people who had sent it to each other, and there'd be hilarious pictures in there. That's what email was. And what we had to do was we had to keep our mailboxes nice and clean, because most of the first mailboxes that we got had like 5 megabytes of storage. And if you let that fill up, then you would have to, your emails would stop working, right? People would get bounce backs, but you'd have to delete them before your emails would start working again. Now, interestingly, we got into the habit of trying to keep our mailboxes clean because of that. We would file the important emails and then we would delete the unimportant emails. And for many of us, we kept that habit going for many, many years later. We got larger mailboxes, but we still stayed in the habit of trying to keep our mailbox clean. And somewhere around 5 or 10 years ago, I think the volume of emails coming from marketers, coming from automated systems sending emails into our mailboxes just became so darn overwhelming that most people are just not even able to keep up at the moment. The amount of cold outreaches, outright spam that comes into our mailboxes, phishing attempts, people pretending to be us or someone else in our business, just basically stop email from being effective these days. And unless you've got hours to sit in your inbox every day, which, yeah, sure, some people do, it's pretty much impossible to get your inbox down to zero. And most people have just given up. If you go and look at your Gmail inbox right now, I'd say many people have got hundreds, if not thousands or even tens of thousands of emails sitting inside their inbox, either read or unread, in various states of being dealt with. So how do we manage this? Well, there's a couple of really cool tools that have come out on the marketplace that now connect to your Gmail inbox and basically use AI to help you categorize your emails and then give you suggested automated responses to those emails. One of those is called Superhuman. It's really popular. I recommend you go ahead and check it out. There's also the second tier of plugins that may help you, and there's one that I really love called Mailman. And this is one of the ones that kind of sits as an overlay above your inbox and helps you to triage emails as they come in. That's also pretty helpful to help you manage your inbox and manage the influx of cold emails or emails from random people that you may not even know, and help you to help that inbox stay down and stay cleaner. But outside of those automated tools, someone still needs to triage the emails. Someone still needs to respond to the emails. Someone still needs to do some kind of management with them. Now, my recommendation is that you adopt some basic principles in managing your inbox, and some of those principles you can take from the GTD, Getting Things Done framework, or some of those you can just use some of the basic features inside of Workspace, and those features can make your life a little bit easier. The challenge that most people have is they've got notifications switched on and they see emails popping up and dinging on their devices, and it just becomes a kind of constant state of overwhelm. And so the first step to getting on top of your emails and really managing things properly is probably to switch off those notifications and set a scheduled time to manage your inbox so that you're choosing to take care of your emails rather than your emails choosing to distract you all day long. So if you want to do that, you can jump into the settings on your Google Gmail in the browser, switch all notifications off from the browser, and on your mobile device, head along to your settings, find Gmail, and switch notifications off. And my recommendation would be completely for Gmail. But let's look at some of the Google features that you can do inside your actual Gmail account, because there's some cool productivity things that you can switch on, which make your life a little bit easier in Gmail. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Gmail mailbox here, and this is my test account. So we've got lots and lots of emails in here waiting to be triaged and waiting to be managed. Some of the first things I do when I go into my settings are to switch on a couple of cool features. One of those is this one here, the Send and Archive button. What that does is a two-step process where it will actually send the email that you're working with and managing, and also archive the email at the same time. It basically means it takes it out of the inbox and it puts it into a special folder called All Mail, which is where all of your email goes once it's been taken out of the inbox. Now, nothing gets deleted from All Mail. It's kind of like a bucket that always lives there and always allows you to get back to your emails through search if you ever need to get back to them. But once we've dealt with an email, we can safely archive it and take it out of the inbox. Some of the other things that I like are to switch on all of the personalization features. That gives you Google's Gemini AI to help you write emails. When you're composing an email, it'll also auto-complete the email for you based on what it thinks you might be typing. You can just hit the tab key and it'll automatically complete that for you, which I really like. A couple of other things here, like Smart Reply is also one of the smart features. I basically just go and switch on all these clever things that Google has, all of their AI. There we go. Google's added a new feature here, it seems. You can switch on smart features. Interesting. I see. I assume that's looking at things like, okay, bring your calendar events into calendar, blah, blah, blah. All right. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. You should have those switched on. Okay. You'll notice here that I've got desktop notifications switched off. I would recommend you switch on keyboard shortcuts. We do cover that in our course on all the important shortcuts that you should know off by heart. And is there anything else exciting here? Probably not in that one. Let me see if I've got some advanced features here. Okay, wonderful. Now, in the advanced features, I would recommend you switch on Auto Advance. I really like this feature because it's going to allow you to move to the next newest email once you've dealt with a single email. What usually happens when you reply to an email in Gmail is you hit reply and then it takes you back to the inbox, but you can get distracted by the new emails that are coming in at the top of the inbox. Auto Advance takes you up to the next newest email automatically instead of sending you back to the inbox. Templates, super useful if you're the kind of person who wants to automatically have a scripted response of some sort written there, that's useful. And to be honest, I haven't used custom keyboard shortcuts, haven't worked with that one yet. And of course, I leave the unread message icon off so I don't distract myself. But let's try this one again. A little bit weirdly, my save button was, there we go. Okay. A little bit weird that was grayed out. Just got to make sure that all my other settings got switched on there. Let's try that one again. All right, now let's check all my main settings. Okay, it appears it did not save them. That's all right. All right, keyboard shortcuts. All right, I think that was it. Let's hit save. Wonderful. Okay, cool. Now, Anna said, fix my Google Workspace. Another one of my business. Got asked if I could help a company that wants to scale bigger. Great. Yeah, good stuff. And remember, there's always our quick fix service on the website. Like if you'd like to refer people to that, then our team are always happy to help. Great. Okay. Here we go. All right. So we've covered some of the basic settings. Let's go through some of the things that I really love to do in Gmail. So using a keyboard shortcut for C, it stands for compose, I can automatically open an email. That makes my life really easy there. If I've got an email open, I can hit R to reply. That makes my life really easy. If I've read an email and I just need to move it out of the inbox, I can archive it by hitting the E button. Easy way to remember that, E for e-waste, and that will archive and remove the email. Now you'll notice here, as soon as I open an email and I hit the archive button, it's automatically taking me to the next email. So that is our auto advance feature, taking us through our emails one by one. Now you'll notice here that my inbox is just like one big list of emails. You also have the option to switch on different sections. And so we've got here inbox type. I can actually go with, I think I hit the customize button. Here we go. So I can, if I hit the customize button, I can choose different tabs and Google's going to automatically sort my emails into one place, or into multiple places, sorry. And so it's going to look at the content of your emails and try and categorize them for you. Now, personally, I think this is pretty useful, but I'm going to show you one filter which almost makes some of this a little bit redundant. This is useful if you're the kind of person who gets so many emails in here and you just don't really want to bother categorizing them and getting your inbox down to perfect every day, and you just want to focus on the stuff that's probably from humans and let the rest turn into a bit of a mess. It's not really useful to try and categorize and manage like 5 different lists of emails here, which are effectively 5 different mailboxes. So my recommendation would be to only use these if you want to be a little bit lazy and just kind of leave it in a bit of a mess. The other way of doing things is to switch this off. We'll go back to our default mailbox and we will switch off all of these extra tabs. And that just gives us one simple mailbox. Great. Now, what's the magic trick, you say? The magic trick to help you not see automated emails in your inbox? Well, let me show you what that looks like. This is called the unsubscribe filter. And so I'm going to search for the word unsubscribe. And that's going to find all the emails in my inbox which have come in that happen to include the word unsubscribe. I'm going to click my advanced search button. I'm going to create a filter. And I'm going to choose to skip the inbox, meaning these emails won't come into my inbox. I'm going to apply a label, and it's a smart idea to do that so you can still check these from time to time, but I'll call it filtered. And then I can also click this button, apply to matching conversations. And what that's going to do is it's going to take everything that's in my inbox right now and automatically filter it out and remove it from the inbox. Now, it may take a tiny bit of time for that filter to run and remove everything from your inbox. You can see bit by bit it's having the new label added, and then they're going to be archived, so they're going to be moved out of my inbox. And you'll see that there is going to be a significant drop in the number of emails in my inbox once this process has completed. Now it's got about 300 in the inbox right now. If I go ahead and give it a refresh, maybe it's already pulled them out. I think it has. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and have a look at our filtered mailbox here. Look at that. It's already pulled 100 emails out of my inbox that included the word unsubscribe. And now the emails that come in to my main email inbox from time to time are only going to be, well, most likely going to be emails from real people. Of course, unless they come through like a calendar event or something like that, but they don't include the word unsubscribe, so my filter's not going to pick it up. Okay, a couple of other tweaks we can do to make our Gmail really sing. If you're the kind of person who gets a little bit distracted, or you notice that you go into your emails and it just kind of is a bit of a time suck hole that you disappear into, I've got another little trick for you that you might like. And that is to switch off this feature called snippets. Now notice you'll see the subject of the email here, and then you see the first few lines of the email. That's usually something that can distract people. You get an email from a client, you can see the first few words, or you've got a project that's running late. All those are the kind of things that might be distracting when you're trying to triage and effectively manage your email. So my recommendation would be you jump in and you look for the feature called snippets, and you switch off snippets. And that's actually going to update the inbox here. I'm going to have to wait for it to reload. Here we go. So that'll show you the subject of your emails only, and it won't show you any of the other snippets. Cool. So there's some basics on making your inbox run a little bit quicker. We have an extended course. It is or will be available on our website soon. Go ahead and check that out. It's for free, available to everyone. You just got to sign in and click the button, and you can get started with it. And we've got the 7 steps to inbox zero every day. Oh, maybe I should give you some bonus ones, actually. I think probably one of the best things that I've done for my inbox is have a PA help manage it. And so Google has a feature called delegated mailboxes or inbox access. And if I go to accounts here, I've got the option to grant access to my account, meaning that I can share access to my account to someone else within my business. Unfortunately, it only works for someone inside your company. You can't share it outside your company, but it is very useful if I decide that I want to give someone access to my business email address, but not give them access to all of the files in my Google Drive or the chats in my Google Chat. This only gives them access to my mailbox and nothing else. So if I want to add someone, I could add, Regina at testgenius.co. Oops, helps if I spell their name correctly. It's invalid. Okay, they must not be set up on this test account. But anyway, you get the idea. You invite a colleague, they'll be granted access to your account. You can see there's already someone here. And basically what that lets them do is log into your account as if they were you, but it doesn't give them the ability to delete the account, change the password, change any of the settings, or do anything else. They can just read and respond to email, and that's it. Now, what does that look like from your side of things? So if you're in your account and I want to access someone else's account, they've delegated it to me. Oh, of course, I don't have an example here. All right, let me show you my production account. Where's that? Okay, so here I am in my real email account, and I've got a number of people shared with me. And so if I want to access one of these mailboxes, I just need to click on the delegated mailbox, and the delegated mailbox will automatically open up and show me that other person's mailbox. There we go. Now, if you've got a sneaky eye, you may have noticed in my mailbox, a sneaky eye, as I look from side to side, if you've got a sneaky eye, you may have noticed in my mailbox it said show inbox, right? There was a little button there. That's one of my favorite, hardly known plugins that is an absolute superstar, supercharger for your inbox. And it's called Inbox When Ready. Now, what this plugin does is it hides your inbox until you're ready to view what's in there. And again, for the kind of person who maybe goes into your email and you want to search for something, or you want to send an email to someone and you see the stream of new emails coming through and you immediately get distracted, as we all do. Well, this is a great little plugin because it lets you log into your Gmail, run searches, compose, respond to messages, but you don't see the inbox until you choose to. The plugin is called Inbox When Ready. So you head along to Inbox When Ready. Oops, let me try that again. It's free. And there is a pro plan which gives you some extra features. And there you go. My inbox is hidden. So I just click the show inbox and it'll show me the inbox. But in the meantime, I can go and search for some messages. I'll search for my colleague Mary here. Here we go. Emails coming through from my colleague Mary. I can open one of those emails. I can hit R and respond and, type whatever I need to that person, right? Beautiful. Great. And I've got access to my inbox only to be shown when I want it to be. All right, let me know if you like that one, guys. Cool. Well, that's probably enough on that one. Let's go ahead and look at our next. Next question. Say hello if you're on the live stream. By the way, we got lots of people on the live. I'm doing this in the evening European time, so I think we're catching many more of our customers. Okay, so let me jump into the next one. Here we go. What are we gonna do next? Let's mark that one complete. Okay. Oh shoot! I just hid one. Uh-oh. How do I bring it back? Oh, here we go. Okay. I always hit the wrong button. Okay. Set up a payment method, bank account, receiving an OR error. Why is this so difficult versus using a credit card? I'm on trial with a valid credit card, but I need to add it and then change the payment method to bank account for long term. I'm in the US. eSharp. Now, I've got some bad news for you, eSharp. I didn't even know that bank accounts were a valid form of payment for Google Workspace. So I don't know how that works. I can't help you there, unfortunately. But what I can do to help you is if you're interested in billing for your account with a bank account, IT Genius does support bank account payments. You got to ask my team very nicely. So if you reach out, we can do a direct debit to your bank account. So if you reach out to my team, itgenius.com, let them know you'd like bank account payments for an account. I assume you've got more than like 1 or 2 users. We'll be able to help you with that. If you don't have the ability to do that, or you're, working for a large organization and they've got payment policies or whatever, it's usually easier to use a credit card because the bank collection features aren't always quite as reliable as using a credit card. I know not everyone wants to use a credit card, but it generally works better for Workspace. And for a long time, if you're billing directly with Google, they would not accept bank accounts as a payment method. So I'm surprised that's even an option. But if we can help, great, reach out and let us know. Okay, let's go to our next one. Which suite offers better collaboration tools for remote teams? Which suite offers better collaboration tools for remote teams? I'm going to assume this person's talking about Google Workspace versus Microsoft 365. And I've got to say that question is a little bit subjective, I guess. It depends what you define as collaboration. Do you mean working on the same document at the same time? Do you mean working collaboratively in real time? Sure. Google's got your beat, Microsoft. Google's live updating on documents, the ability to have a Google Sheet that lets you create a filter view, which lets you filter data and it doesn't mess up the other person's data. The ability to work in Google Chat and see someone's status, whether they're online or not, whether they're in a meeting or not, whether they're off sick for the day or not. The ability to go back to any version of any document and see cell-by-cell changes on a spreadsheet through the revision history feature on Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. The ability to put files into Google Drive, have them magically and immediately appear on everyone's machines, and save different versions of files, even if they're not a Google file. You can save documents, even Microsoft documents if you want, images, videos, PDFs, any of those kind of documents, and have the revision history saved in Drive. Does Microsoft do those things? Well, yes. They've got their online Excel and I think they've got online Word as well that you can use with someone else. Is it as good as Google, not really. Some of them are a bit clunky. Most people report they're a bit clunky. OneDrive, does it synchronize files? Yes, most people say that the performance is not that great, and when you have hundreds of thousands of files, it starts breaking and getting a little bit buggy. Does Microsoft have an online chat? Yes, they've got Microsoft Teams, but many people say, it's not amazing for chat, and it's a little bit better to instead use something like Slack. So my pitch is, yes, I think Google's better for online teams with remotely distributed businesses. But for some people, they look at the tools and they say, well, this doesn't actually do exactly what I need. Maybe you're a financial services business and you're all heavy Excel users and use Excel in day out, and you've got advanced macros set up, and you want Excel to be a powerhouse because you're working with large data sets of data. And Google does fall over. If you throw 10,000 rows at a Google Sheet, it will start to slow down, and it doesn't quite work as nicely as Excel does on a beefy local computer. If you're a law firm and you've got software that makes precedents and inserts blobs of text into Word documents and tracks the changes and allows you to make changes in your software and have them automatically update a document, for the most part, you can't do that with Google. I mean, most people use ChatGPT these days, right? But most lawyers are still generating and creating documents using software like this that has to use Microsoft Word. For the most part, it doesn't work with Google Docs. So if you're in one of those kind of unique scenarios where doing things the Microsoft way happens to work better for you, well, then subjectively, that might be better for collaboration. What most businesses choose, if you're a new business, if you're digital natives, if you've got a predominantly younger generation team, typically Google Workspace is the answer. And sometimes that's just because what was in front of people when they signed up to Wix or Squarespace and they clicked the button that said, I want email, hey, they got a Workspace account. Or they bought a domain name through Google Domains, no longer exists anymore, but they had a one-click button to set up email and they got onto Google. Or maybe you've used Gmail forever and you're a lover of Gmail and you left school, you went and worked in corporate, someone gave you an Outlook account, you went, oh, what's this? And then when you started your side hustle or your own business, you decided, okay, I want to go with Google. And so you choose to use a Google Workspace account. I'd love to know what you think about this. For many of our customers, they've been in the Google world for so long now, it's not even a question whether or not they want to use Microsoft. We also have larger customers who have more traditional businesses, or they've got industries that prefer the Microsoft ecosystem, who we do support as well. Many businesses use a little bit of both. They might be using Google for their email and their calendar and most of their documents, but some staff in their team still want to use Microsoft format documents, or their clients or customers want to use Microsoft format documents. And so they pay for a subscription to Office 365 just to get access to Word and Excel. Oh, now I just had a little freeze on my camera, so I'm going to check what's going on there. Oh, that's very odd. Okay, give me just one moment, guys. Let's see if I can check this. Hopefully it's still working. Okay, and we're back. Great. So if you're making the choice between the two ecosystems, you can go and sign up for a Gmail account, get an idea of what it feels like to work with the rest of the Google ecosystem, because adding your domain name for Google Workspace is pretty much going to be same with what you get with Gmail. Google Workspace does come with some specific features that are better for businesses, like shared drives. You've got the ability to manage all the user accounts, so you can reset people's passwords. You can enforce policies on people's computers, on their Google Chrome, on their accounts, add remove features. All those things are available when you have a business account with Google Workspace. And then you've got some advanced security features. If you are in the medical field or the consulting field and you want to save a copy of every email in and out of your business, you can use a product like Google Vault to do that, to keep your business data safe and secure. If you're dealing with personal records or personal information, you could use an enterprise plan with Google Workspace and use a feature called DLP, or Data Loss Prevention, which lets you to define certain pieces of data, like maybe a medical record or a date of birth or a credit card number, and make sure they're never stored in plain text, much less emailed to anyone from your business or around inside your business. So many features there. If you want to try out the Google ecosystem or you want some help with that, you can always click the link below and get some help from our team. Or of course, have a browse around the channel. Plenty of information on how to get Google Workspace humming for your business. Now, we've got some questions I can hear coming through, or at least some little comments that are coming through. Great. Anna says, I've got a decent grab of the basics, Oh, here we go. I can read it on the screen. Look at that. How cool is that? Okay, so I don't really understand how AI is integrated. Probably me always taking mine to my favorite AI, but you're welcome to tell me more about how to use it best. Yeah, great question. So I think that, let me just close this here. I think that is a very valid question. So I want to cover that for you. So if you're a small business owner and you're curious, what AI should I be using? I've got Google Workspace and Gemini sits there in the kind of sidebar, but you find yourself using ChatGPT because that's what you've been using for the past few years. Well, this is an important update for you. Now, for a long period of time, Gemini was very far behind ChatGPT, and I would say pretty embarrassingly behind. The sad part of this story is that Google were the ones that invented machine learning and the fundamental principles and computer science concepts that built the building blocks that OpenAI was able to create ChatGPT with. But Google was slow to release their models to the public for whatever reasons they had. Eventually, Google, bit by bit, have spent the last few years on the backtrack catching up. And I've got to say, they've only just finally got to the point where I can wholeheartedly recommend Gemini is pretty much on par, if not better, at doing tasks than GPT is. Now, you can go and look through the many verified videos on my channel where for many months I said that Gemini stunk and GPT was the way for most business owners. But things changed, and from about the start of 2025, Gemini started getting good enough that I've now switched to finally being able to use Gemini every day. And I've got to say, I don't miss ChatGPT. I even canceled my subscription. Now, are there some things that Gemini doesn't get right from time to time? Yeah, sure. But the times that I've gone back to try GPT when there's been a particular meme about creating certain images and I've decided to go ahead and give that a go myself, well, sometimes GPT downright throws bugs at me. And one of the things that I really love about working with the Google ecosystem in general is that they're pretty damn good with their infrastructure. And when they build a product, typically that product works effectively and it works at scale reasonably reliably. Is it perfect? No. But is it more perfect than GPT? Yeah, I would argue yes, in terms of reliability. Now, where do we use Gemini? How should we use Gemini? Well, my recommendation would be when you need to do a query with AI, you open a new browser tab and you just click the Gemini button. You go to gemini.google.com and you put in your question, you put in your response into Gemini and you start chatting away. Right now, everybody gets access to Gemini if you have a Google Workspace account. Google did a bit of a sneaky. They were trying to force everyone to pay for Gemini and eventually they realized, hey, let's just put the price up on Workspace for everybody and then give everyone Gemini. And that's what they did. Like it or not, we've all got Gemini, including all of your staff. And if, such as in the case of Zoom or Slack or any other third-party application which may be a double up to a feature inside of Workspace, if you're concerned about the costs of subscriptions in your business, then it might be worth considering ditching the subscription to Claude or ChatGPT and instead just using Gemini if everyone's already got a license for free. There's a couple of different versions that are out right now as of this recording, and right now 2.5 Flash is the main model for working with the basics of Gemini. If you just want to get day-to-day stuff done, 2.5 Flash is the one, and then 2.5 Pro is going to take a little bit longer to think about its questions before it comes back to you. I find that if I want a question answered with a bit more nuance, or maybe it's a research task or a question that I really care about, I'll go to the Pro model. And if I just need a quick answer for day-to-day stuff, I'm definitely using the Flash model because I'm going to get answers almost as fast as a Google search. Now, how else should you use Gemini, or where should you use Gemini? Well, because Google are pushing it pretty hard, you're going to find it pretty much everywhere in the Google ecosystem. You'll see here that inside my Gmail, on the right-hand side, I can click Gemini and I can give it any kind of basic prompts like, help me catch up on my emails from the last week. And it's going to automatically query the emails in my inbox and let me know what I'm looking at. Now, this is a test mailbox, so these are not particularly interesting, but it gives you a good idea there. If I've got an individual email open, I can say, tell me about this email and give me a summary. And it's going to give me a summary of the email that I happen to have open at the time. There we go. Again, not all that interesting. This happens to be a couple of test emails, but it's even giving me some suggested questions that I can ask, which, hey, Google, that's pretty helpful. I like that. You can see here that immediately one of the best things about Gemini in the Google ecosystem, oh, shush, and Google's thinks I'm trying to search. How do I turn off my microphone? There we go. Okay. Now you can immediately see that one of the best advantages of having Gemini in the Google ecosystem is that it's right there and it's able to talk to all of your Google data. I've asked Gemini things like, hey, can you go into my Google Drive and search all of my files and tell me from the last 3 months of meeting transcripts from our Google Meet meetings, tell me a bit of the vibe of my business right now. Tell me what I should be focusing on. Tell me what my team are concerned with. Tell me what are the most important projects that I should be monitoring. And Gemini gave me a really good response from that. Having Google's Gemini deeply integrated into the rest of the Google ecosystem makes it have access to data that no one else really does. And that makes it a tool that's much more useful than anyone else has access to. So if I want to use it in my calendar, in my drive, in my creating a document or updating a spreadsheet, yeah, there's some pretty good features there. But I find Gemini's most powerful when I'm running a query on my data that it has access to right across the Google ecosystem. So what does that look like? Well, when I'm in the Gemini window, I can do the @ sign and then type in Drive. And that's going to let me mention Google Drive. It doesn't, maybe it's not switched on. Hold on. Where's my switch? Why is that not switched on? Why is that not switched on? It has to be enabled by your admin. Why is this not switched on? Okay, well, if you go to switch on, oh, now my other camera froze. What's going on here? That's interesting. I'm having some real funny problems with my cameras today. I'm going to show you how to switch it on. I've just got to fix my other camera here. We're having a funny tech day here. Tell you what. And if all else fails, unplug it and plug it in again. Good times. Okay. And there we go. That's come back. That's come back again. Okay, wonderful. So if you want to, oh, and now this is out of focus. There we go. Fun times. All right. Get rid of that silly thing too. Okay. So if you're trying to set up Gemini and or you're trying to talk to your Google Drive in Gemini and you can't get access, well, first we're going to go into the admin panel and let's go into our Gemini settings. The easiest way to get around the admin panel, you go to admin.google.com, you sign in as your administrator account, and then you just search. That's usually I find is the easiest way to get around things. Of course, it's going to ask you to authenticate who you are 1,000,000 times for security. Let's go find our Gemini settings. Here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do here is make sure that I've just basically switched on everything. Okay, so yeah, user access, apps. Okay, allow it to access workspace apps. All right, we've got this enabled. And that's going to let it access my data in Google Drive. I don't know why they don't turn these things on automatically. Okay. It's going to keep 36 months of retention from user information. All right, cool. So we've got that switched on. Now let's go down to Gemini for Workspace. Let's make sure all of these are switched on. Looks pretty good to me. I'm just going to double check on. Yep, looking pretty good to me. Okay, cool. Well, let's go back to our Gemini and see if I might get lucky and I can turn it on. There we go. So that worked pretty quickly. That's nice. Thanks, Google. So I'm going to connect my Google Workspace into Gemini, and it's going to ask me if I want to work on a specific document. I don't know if I have any actual transcriptions in here, but when I want to mention something, I can hit the @ button, and I can search like the whole of my Google Workspace if I want, or I can choose to search just a specific app. I do love that it's now letting me search my tasks and my Google Keep, which is pretty cool. But let's go to Workspace and say, give me a rundown of everything you can see in my workspace. What do you think is the most important things that I should know about as a business owner? I mean, that's a very broad question. I'm curious what it's going to come back with that. Okay. Well, hold on, mate. Hold on. Okay. I want you to look through everything you can see in my Google Drive and tell me what insights you have about my business. Okay, let's see how it does with that. Okay, so now we're connecting to Workspace. Now we're cooking. All right, cool. So it's found an intranet document. It's found a test document. It's found some presentations. It's found a meeting transcript. It's found a one-on-one agenda. And a whole bunch of other text junk. I mean, this is our test app, so that makes sense. So that gives you an idea of the kind of thing you can do with Gemini. You can just start talking to it and asking it about your workspace data, and it's going to start referencing everything that it can see inside your Google Drive. Now, a little bit creepy. People start wondering, oh, is Gemini going to upload my data to the internet? Is it going to share it with other people? Can other people query this? Google says very, very clearly down the bottom of this page, your chats are not used to improve our models. Personally, I don't care about that. I want them to improve the model, but many people don't like that, so they chose not to add that. It can also make mistakes, including about people, so double check it. So that's really, really clear. Google's not using your data in any way to update or train their model. Now, can you trust them? Yeah, you probably can trust them. Does Google, or are Google always truthful? Yeah, for the most part. Are they evil? Yeah, I would say sometimes they are a little bit evil, but they're generally truthful, at least. So I think you can trust Google, particularly because they have these in all kinds of organizations, including government organizations. They cannot risk a privacy scandal. They just can't. Meta kind of, got away with it. They seem to go a little bit closer to the line of gray areas with that, but Google have always been really, really clear on the privacy side of things. Usage of your data and analytics, maybe not so clean. Maybe not so clean when it comes to Google. But hey, if we're on the Google ecosystem, you've already given up some level of your privacy in that Google are going to be using some form of analytics and some form of insight from your behavior, and you're kind of consenting that by signing up to Google. That's the reality. Okay, cool. So there's some of the basics on Gemini. I've got lots more videos on the channel on how to use Gemini for business. Specifically, if you're a business owner and you want to learn more about how to use Gemini for your business, I have a business owner's guide to Gemini. And if you want help switching this on, you can click through to our website, itgenius.com. Our team will be happy to help you switch on all of the Gemini features, help you roll them out for your team. And let me know, what's your best tip for Gemini? Drop it down in the comments down below. Okay, good question. Thanks so much for that. Zoho Notebook and Todoist. That's interesting. I'd love to know what you like about those guys. Claudio, thanks so much. Oh, we've got a couple of comments from you. Let me make sure I catch all of these. So Claudio says, do you believe in Google Keep and Google Tasks? Two somewhat underwhelming applications within the Google ecosystem could be improved. I'm a personal workspace user. Yeah, great question. So what do I think of Google Keep and Google Tasks? What do I really think? I've got to say, I agree that they're a little underwhelming. Google Keep, Google did a wonderful job of, and then they left it for a few years. And sometimes Google does that. They build something great, which has got a lot of promise, and then they just don't go anywhere with it. And we saw this in COVID. Google had a product that was terrible, which was Hangouts. And they completely rebuilt it from the ground up, which was then called Google Meet. And with Google Meet, which had been completely built from scratch, Google, alongside it, brought Google Chat. And so Hangouts, which was chat and meetings together, but it was terrible, became Meet and became Google Chat. And then they did nothing for a few years. And then COVID came along and everyone went to Zoom. And my little speaker behind me is listening now. So everyone went to Zoom, and Zoom became the darling of COVID because Google Meet just hadn't caught up on features, and everyone wanted to use breakout rooms and reactions and all these other cool features that Zoom had. And so Google has, unfortunately, a history of building something great, which has got lots of promise, and then just leaving it. And I don't know why. I wonder if maybe their engineers move on to other products internally. Maybe they get caught up with the, like big company politics, and it's fun and exciting while it's startup-y, and maybe they've got free reign while something's being built. But then once it's being launched, maybe, I don't know, the change management process is too in-depth. For whatever reason, Google lets products stagnate. Now, sometimes they come in and they give them a refresh, or they give them energy. And sometimes the updates just trickle forever and never really go anywhere. It may be that that's what we're seeing with Google Keep. I've seen some small, light updates to it in the last year, but nothing really exciting or significant. I've seen a few more updates to Google Tasks. They've integrated it reasonably well into chat, so you can create tasks from chat, and tasks now live everywhere across the Google ecosystem. You've got them in your Gmail, you've got them in your calendar, you've got them in your Drive, you've got them in the calendar app on your phone if you want to add a task from there. There's a dedicated tasks app. They've done a pretty good job of putting tasks everywhere. Have we seen much updated in the last year? Not heaps. So if you're a diehard user of something else, I don't think anyone uses Evernote still these days anymore, but maybe you're someone using Obsidian or Notion, something that's a bit more sophisticated as a scratchpad notebook place to put all of your stuff. Personally, I use Asana. I'm an Asana diehard. It's a bit more sophisticated than something like Google Keep, but I'm a database guy, so I like things being highly structured, and I've got a lot of volume of tasks that I manage. And so I like Asana, which gives me, timelines and deadlines and the ability to delegate to others, which that's not what Google Keep is. Google Keep is just a random notebook to chuck notes into. The thing about Google is we never know. They don't publish a roadmap. They don't let us know what's going on. And sometimes a great update is just around the corner. I would say use what's best for you. Use what works for you. Use what you are productive with. Use what gives you joy. And maybe one day Google will entice you back to their application. I do remember that we used Asana for many years, and I moved to another app. And we used that app for about a year, and it was pretty good. But there was this very small thing that used to irk me. And that was that it took 3 clicks to open a task, whereas Asana was just 1 click. And every day that I was clicking 3 times to open a task in that app while I was managing my team, or I was working on a project, or I was working on my own to-do list, I missed the simplicity of working with that tool in Asana. The tools that we use are so human and so important to us in the way that we use them. I used to love using Google Keep until it just didn't really serve my needs anymore, and I decided to move to something else. But the Googly way of doing things is certainly a good way of doing things. I don't really have a clear answer here. Maybe I'm just rambling at this point. But I would say don't get your hopes up that Google are going to bring anything revolutionary to a product that they've stacked into the ecosystem of Google Workspace and sits there as a little bit of a Me Too kind of product, but is not necessarily going to be their flagship. Google are trying to compete with Drive for storage, and they've really made that great. They're updating Gmail bit by bit, but let's be honest, not really much has changed in Gmail these days. Google, for the most part, are trying to get you into their ecosystem and have everything in that ecosystem be good enough that you'll stick around, but they don't necessarily have to make it so crash hot that it absolutely overtakes everyone else. Google's focus for the next years is going to be Gemini. Their business is at a real threat with their cash cow search business, but also just general productivity and how we get things done online. Less and less will we need to type things into spreadsheets manually ourselves when we can just take a data set and query that using a natural language AI tool, which is going to do all of the thinking for us and present the data for us. When we're able to just have a conversation with our AI instead of manually working out and wrangling data and putting in formulas into spreadsheets, we're going to look back and laugh at that we used to do that stuff manually. So that's where Google's focus is, because they've got these existential threats of OpenAI, who are changing the game with how people interact with finding information online and learning online. And Google's golden goose of search is finally being threatened by someone So that's where all their energy is going to go. So I wouldn't get your hopes up for any updates to Keep or tasks anytime soon. But look out for Gemini, because they're doing a great job of improving Gemini. And I expect it's going to see some really impressive updates, or continue to see impressive updates into the future. So look out for that. Great question. Okay, I had a little error with my recording before, so I just want to triple check that my recording is in fact still working. Bear with me, and I am going to have to actually wrap up soon at some point. How long have we been going for? Just over an hour. Okay, let's go ahead and find my recordings here. Just want to make sure they're working. Hey, they appear to be working. Well, that's good news. Okay, cool. Thanks so much for the questions. All right, cool. Great, great questions, guys. If you're on the live, make sure you say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. We have audience and customers in 40 or 50 countries, which is crazy. So thank you so much for being here. If you're on the live, always makes it way more interesting when you're on the live. I'm going to try and do more of these during US hours, I think. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you. And if you're watching the replay, then please feel free to say hi as well. I do read every single comment. I can't respond to every single one because there's just too many, but I definitely read every single comment. So thanks for sending them through if you're sending them through. Okay, I'm going to mark that last question answered, and let's see if there's any fresh questions coming through on my questions list. Okay, great. All right, here's a good question. So Anna asks, as a teacher, I've worked with Teams and Google Classroom. I think I'm looking for a similar platform where people without an account can join. So that's a great question. And if you're looking for a way to teach, share information, and have people go through a course of some sort or a learning journey of some sort with you, I haven't used Microsoft Teams myself for that, but I've certainly used Google Classroom for that. And Google Classroom is a great tool to be able to do that. Google Classroom is included for free if you have a business Google Workspace account. And it's the same as what you get if you were on an education account running a school. But if you have a business account, you get access to Classroom. And the cool thing with Classroom is you only have to have one license for Google Workspace, but you can add as many people as you want to Classroom. They can be inside your business or outside your business. You can invite them with a Gmail. But speaking of Gmail, that's the one downside to Google as well. You can only add people with a Google account, either a Gmail account or another Google Workspace account. You can't add someone random who just has a Microsoft account. Now, if you're a business owner and you're running education programs, you can be pretty safe that most people have a Gmail account in the world. Like, we're talking billions of mailboxes are on Gmail, and especially most young people have a Gmail account. Yeah, sure, not everyone in the world does, but usually someone's been forced to sign up to a Gmail account at some point in their life. So there's many people that certainly do have Gmail accounts, and so you're probably going to be safe if you're running a course to say, hey, bring your Gmail account and plug it in. But if that's absolutely going to be a showstopper for your business, there are other tools out there, and the tool category that you're looking for is LMS, or Learning Management System. Now, if you want something real basic, you could go online to school.com. That's school with a K, and that's an online learning platform of sorts. It's more community focused, but it certainly has the ability to build modules and programs that you can have people go through. And you can even put a payment processor in the front of that if you want to charge memberships for people to get access to your school. There's plenty of more traditional LMS learning management apps. If you search for LMS, you're going to find a million of those online. And my recommendation, if you're trying to choose software, is to head along to g2.com. And that's going to give you categories and ratings and lots of information on who's using apps and how popular they are and whether or not they're considered a leader in the industry. And that would be my recommendation for how you're choosing software. Now, in terms of the method to do a good evaluation of different software, well, I'd recommend you go to our channel and search for choosing software. Let me try that now. I'm going to do that with you guys and show you exactly where to go. Oops, I've gone to... Did I go to the right page? Here's the right page. Why is it not opening? Here we go. Okay, cool. So go to our channel first. I don't know why I haven't saved this as a favorite. I probably should. Okay. Let's drag this down here. Okay. and go to our channel and search choosing software. And I've got a number of videos that I've created on how to choose software for your business, and that will give you a guide to make really good decisions on selecting software. Because typically, if you're going to choose a bit of software for your business, you're going to stick with it for years and years and years. And if you make a bad decision now, you may have the cost of changing in the future, and we want to ideally avoid that. We want to be efficient, don't we? So go check out those videos on choosing software. You'll get my principles as an IT guy and as someone who's been a consultant for 20 plus years, helping people choose technology, helping people make good strategic choices with their business technology. All of that I've tried to distill down into those videos on the channel. So go ahead and check that out. Okay, all right. I think I'm going to do one more question, and then I got to go to the gym because it's going to close soon, and I need my workout. So let's get that done. Thanks. You are welcome. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I really, really mean it. It is not enjoyable at all to do these live solo. So thanks for being here, and thanks for saying hi. It's great to have you here. Okay. All right. Let's go back to my questions here. Do the cloud-to-cloud options mentioned backup and restore Google Drive? Oh, we've got a double up here. All right, let me just try and fix that first. Okay, let me open this up. Okay. Anonymous asks, do the cloud-to-cloud options mentioned backup and restore Google Drive docs, sheets, slides, vids, and forms in Google's native format, or do they get converted to equivalent formats like Word, Excel, and PDF? So I'm assuming that this person is referring to either a drive-to-drive Google migration, or maybe a Dropbox-to-drive Google migration, or maybe an account-to-account duplication. Those three things are different things. Now, at IT Genius, we run a migration business, and we help businesses move from point A to point B with their business data. You might be coming from a free Gmail account and moving into a business workspace account. You might be coming from one workspace account, moving to another workspace account. You might be coming from the Microsoft world and converting all of your stuff and moving all of your stuff into the Google ecosystem. Well, some of the tools that we use to make that happen, like migrating a Dropbox account into Google Drive, we call cloud to cloud. And that means that you don't have to install anything on your computer. You don't have to upload, download from your local home internet connection. They will connect to Dropbox in the cloud, and they'll connect to Google in the cloud, and cloud to cloud, they move over all of the data. Now, this person is asking, do these migration options actually retain the Google format of the files? Or are they going to convert them? And I mean, I guess if you were going from Google to Microsoft, you might want to convert them. But if you're going from anywhere to Google, no, it's going to keep them in the Google format. And keeping them in the Google format might mean that it creates a copy of the file, because if you've got old files in old Google Drive and new files in new Google Drive, it may have to create a copy of those. There are some methods to get around that, like using a shared drive and manually transferring the ownership into a shared drive. You can actually retain the URL link of those files as you do that. But depending on your exact circumstances, if you were working with our team, we would recommend which one of those methods is going to work best for you. But if you're in the process of moving a business from Google over to Microsoft, yeah, sure. If you want to convert them to Microsoft format, that's probably a good idea if you're going to stop using your Google Drive. But for most businesses, they're coming from a Gmail account into Workspace, or the Microsoft world into Workspace. Now, what many people ask us is, well, will all of my Microsoft documents be converted to Google documents when I move over to Google? And that's also a very good question. You can choose to, if you wish, as you migrate your data from Microsoft over and into the Google ecosystem, to convert every one of those documents. And all the Microsoft documents, all the Words will become Google Docs, all the Excels will become Google Sheets, or the PowerPoints will become Google Slides, right? And that works just fine. You can absolutely do that. But my recommendation is to only migrate documents one by one from Microsoft over to Google format. Of course, you move everything and you store your Microsoft documents in your Google Drive. But when you convert a document from Microsoft over to Google, quite often you lose a bit of formatting. Maybe you've got to redo the headings, you've got to realign things, you've got to choose the right font again. Things change. And for most people, if they convert the whole of their Google Drive from Microsoft over to Google, all your templates will have changed, all of your historical data will have changed. You go to open an old document and it looks all jumbled. That's not ideal for you or your team's productivity. So my standing recommendation for 15 years now has been you move all the documents in their original format. And if you really want to get rid of Microsoft, that's fine, but just keep paying for your Word and Excel licenses for a year after you've switched, and then you can completely get rid of it after you've made the change in all the individual documents. But the first ones that you change are your templates. And then any new document that the team creates will be created with Google Docs from this point forward. And then bit by bit, you can start converting any of the old documents that you need to convert. Great question. Great question. All right, cool. Okay, I'm going to see if there's anything really quick I can cover. No, I think I'm going to have to call it. I got 1 hour to gym it, and I'm going to have to call it, but I'm going to do another one soon. Okay, thanks so much for joining. Catch you guys in the next one. If you're on the live, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, let us know if you need help. If you want a free Google Workspace audit, head along to our website. Go to itgenius.com. You can go to the start menu here and then get an IT health check completely free, 30-minute call with one of our experts on our team. They'll have a look at your Workspace account. We go through a checklist that we take every business owner through. We know exactly what you get wrong with your Workspace account because we've seen literally thousands of them, and we'll tell you exactly what you can do to fix it. All free advice from our team, no hard sell. We're not pushy at all. We're just here to help because we have many, many customers that come to us every day of the week. But we'll give you a rundown of that. We'll give you heaps of free value. Hopefully we can build a relationship with you, and hey, maybe one day you'll become a customer when you do need us. So if you're interested in that, head along down the link below, itgenius.com, and book in a free health check with our team. They'll be very happy to have a chat with you. Or if you've got a more pressing issue, we're always on hand. Our concierge service gets you access to all you can eat support, consulting, integrations, engineering for Google Workspace, and that is the ultimate subscription for any small or medium-sized business using Google Workspace. Even if you're a sole operator or you've got 1 or 2 staff, Concierge is a good option for you to have the insurance that someone is there if something ever goes wrong, and the help when you need it to get more out of the platform. And you get access to something very cool that we do called Office Hours. Let me open up Office Hours and share that with you guys, show you exactly what that is. So our Office Hours is a free mini masterclass that I run personally with our customers once a month. And so we spent a couple of hours together. I do a teaching component where I teach you some concepts. We did Gemini, we did Notebook LM in April. We did Google Drive, actually. That was already done a week ago. And if you're interested in joining those, you can not only join the new ones, but you can watch all the recordings as well. So go ahead and if you're interested in that, join up to Concierge. We have very affordable plans, new plans coming out soon as well. But you don't want to miss out on the discount, so jump on when you can. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.